Obviously, extremely proud of our group. Just the way that they approached the week after a tough loss, learning some tough lessons, at Michigan State, and to see them handle the emotions early in the week and focus on the game plan, and just to see how they started the first half, offensively and defensively, and then to match that in the second half. Just really proud of what our guys were able to get done today.
Got microphones on each side.
Start with Jeff.
You mentioned responding from a tough loss. I'm just curious, this team early in the season had difficulty responding to adversity in games. Do you see, it's only been 3 games since you took over, but do you see this team growing in that area, being able to respond whether it's from a loss one week or from bad play in the middle of a game?
I think we're seeing a lot of growth. We had a young, inexperienced team, a lot of guys stepping up into different roles or, transitioning into the program for other places where I knew we had to learn a lot about this group early in the season, and we found out a ton, and it's good to see the response. We're getting better. The effort's been there. Now you're seeing a little bit better execution, which is how we got the result from today.
Jim, how have you guys tried to manage practice this week with so many guys in and out of the lineup and trying to get back healthy? Like, how have you tried to balance guys that are trying to get back, getting them some reps, see what they can do, versus the guys who are going to play the bulk of the reps?
That's the balancing act. Week in and week out, what's the best plan to give you a chance on Saturday? And it's been a juggling act with guys in and out, banged up, a number of guys missing early in the week, late in the week, just trying to figure out what the best game plan for that group is and what's too much, really. And physically, it's the same thing. You need to practice. You need to get better. But at the same time, the emphasis has to be on Saturday. What gets your team in the best position to win? And I think we've done a pretty decent job. We've had a lot of conversations on it. Ton of feedback from the coaches, from the players, just what's right. And I think our guys trust the plan that we've had the last couple of weeks, and I think they were fresh today and play with a lot of confidence.
Jim, with John Torchio last year against Purdue, was 1 yard away from a pick six. This, obviously today comes away with one on top of another interception and another pick six for the season as well. Just what does he do so well in that defensive backfield that allows him to jump in front of those passes to make those plays?
I'm proud of him. He got better. He got in the end zone this time. But he's got such high football IQ, understands our scheme, understands offenses and how they attack, and then you add on top of that the timing. It's not every safety has that. It's a skill that is hard to teach, and he's kind of had that from day one. We noticed that, and every time he's staring at the quarterback, he's got an opportunity to make a big play, and it's our job as a defense to win enough downs to get in some situations to allow him to do that, and just proud of him, man. And he's been through a lot this last year, and to see his growth as a leader, see his growth as a player, you're just excited when the results are there on game day and they perform well.
Jim, that late touchdown that was upheld, it appeared you disagreed with the call. I'm wondering, I'm wondering what you saw and then what they told you.
Thought we made a great play. Obviously, it's about as close as it gets. They said they didn't have a view straight down the goal line, which leads me to the question of why. Why is it not straight down the goal line? So they didn't have enough to overturn it. I don't agree with it, but it doesn't really matter. So unfortunate how the game ended, kind of bleeding a little bit on defense at the end. Needed to force another turnover to close it off a little bit better.
Jim, I know you leave the offensive decisions up to the coaches. Braylon was in there late. He'd been banged up. Just what kind of conversations as a staff do you have about especially managing him with the injuries, and I suppose how important is a week like this to have off for him given the workload he has?
Yeah, a week off for him is huge at this time of the year. He understands his role. He wants to be the workhorse. He asks for more all the time. I think Coach Alvarez said around here the ball's not that heavy, so we still believe that a little bit. But we have to be smart. We know that, but we needed to close the game off. It's getting tight enough that we felt it was important to have him in the game. And, I'm excited for the week off for him because he's definitely been carrying a heavy burden, especially since Ches went down, and he's earned his time off.
Jim, defensively, just your thoughts until maybe most of the fourth quarter. you guys did a nice job of containing O'Connell in their passing game. What went into that, and what kind of stands out to you about the defensive effort?
First of all, that's a very dynamic offense. They got great skill. They have great scheme, and quarterback's playing at an extremely high level coming into this week. You have to mix looks up. You have to stop the run. You have to get them behind the sticks at times, which we did a great job. Different moments throughout the game, getting them to second and long, third and long situations. But you have to be a little unpredictable against them, because if they get a bead on how you're attacking them, the scheme's too good, and the quarterback does a tremendous job of reading coverages and getting the ball where he wants to. And they hit some good plays. I mean, they did a great job on offense, and they can put up points and yards in a hurry.
Jim, was that first quarter what you thought this team could be?
That's what you hope every week, right? It's not always that clean, but I think the energy, the attention to detail early in the game, just doing your job and finishing plays. That's all you can ask your players to do, and being willing to make adjustments and communicate on the field and on the sideline. And our guys did a great job of that early in the game, and they had confidence in what we're asking them to do, and they finished. They made some big plays and got a ton of momentum and energy in the stadium.
Jim, I know this is just one game, but do you think Graham took another step today in this regard? He had a couple big throws, but he did not turn the ball over, and that's been a problem. Illinois, Michigan State, Ohio State, and your guy did not turn the ball over today.
Every time you go through a game clean, right, without turning the ball over, I think you gain confidence as a quarterback. We're learning so much about that receiving group, right? You add the tight ends, that's been mix and match. Just what's the best thing for those skill guys to have success? And obviously Graham pulling the trigger, he's got a lot of decisions to make. And it's just fun to see him playing with confidence. I thought he threw a lot of balls where you felt it, right? And when quarterbacks are playing with confidence, you just see the way the ball comes out of their hands, right? You see the reaction as they release and throw it. He's doing a great job of learning defense, right? I think he's doing a much better job of seeing coverages and understanding where matchups are, and you're seeing that with his decision-making and the confidence in which he's throwing the ball.
Coach, this is going to seem like a lame question, but after what you guys went through last week against Michigan State, to come out there and punch Purdue in the mouth a little bit and to get your first win at the camp, how does that feel for you?
It means a lot. Wisconsin, Camp Randall, it means so much to me. And to see the players respond, and to me, right, what my messaging is and the confidence I'm trying to pour into them, it means so much. And coming back for homecoming, right, so many alumni back in town, seeing the support that I have with them, friends, family, team, coaches, you name it, I gain a lot of confidence from that. And it just allows me to go out there and have trust in our guys and what we're doing around here. Just very excited to get this first win and get that one behind me and now continue on to the rest of the season.
Yeah, now that is behind you, how do you feel about where your team's at heading into the bye week?
Well, number one, they're playing hard. They're playing extremely hard. We went 3 for 3, and my goal was, like, how fast can we get this thing turned around and have some success hopefully going into the bye week. And we've done that. We felt like we let one slip last week, but guys are playing extremely hard, and I think you're starting to see a little bit more detail. You're seeing more consistency, and guys just kind of trusting, doing their job and finishing plays. That's the simple message of football sometimes. And I think when you go through struggles, you just got to take this step back and kind of get back to the fundamentals. And we've done that. And like I said, guys are playing very hard. Now we're playing a little bit better football at this point.
Got time for 2 more, Jake.
Jim, with Nick Herbert suited up but didn't see field, what led to him not playing, but also how do you feel Caden and someone like Darryl stepped up in his place too?
Yeah, as with a number of guys throughout the season, banged up and very, very limited during the week. Nick wants to play. He loves to play. And we knew we'd have him on a very limited pitch count if he was going to be available. And as the flow of the game happened, we were able to keep him off the field, which I think was the best decision for him. But proud of that group. They had to step up and have a big game, and I'm excited to watch the tape. Anytime guys get that expanded role. It's a little bit hard sometimes to see unless they're making huge plays, but I'm really excited to see them play. They've earned the opportunity, and it's fun to look at some of these young guys on the field and having success.
Jim, you kind of mentioned on Thursday, but we might not get to talk to you next week. What's kind of the plan for the bye week? You mentioned the recruiting, all the guys you want to get healthy. Like, how do you balance next week with those goals in mind?
Yeah, we obviously have a group of guys that needs a lot of rest, and that's going to happen for them. We have a chunk that needs to play and get back. We're getting a number of guys kind of back from injuries where they need some snaps. They kind of need to knock some rust off. So it's going to be a balancing act on what's the right amount. Obviously, we're going to get ahead of that Maryland game a little bit and get a little bit of game planning in and some meetings that way. And coaches need to get on the road and recruit. So a little all over the place next week, and I'm excited. I think a big part of the plan with the players, because there's enough uncertainty within the program, is just sit down and talk with them. Where are we at currently? What would happen if I get this job, right? I think I need to address that with them. It has not been the right time to do that, but I think the bye week leads to a little bit of what would the future possibly look like, knowing that there's not an answer right now. So I'm excited to kind of let them see a little bit of what the vision would be, but there's still work to do here the second half of the season to make it a reality.